YouTube, what the crap is going on? Heir of Otomo here, and welcome back to the Otomo Shogunate. Always the emphasis on the gun. Okay, maybe I said it wrong. Maybe there's more emphasis on 8, but whatever. Here we are. Nonetheless, we've got to fight back some Oda forces. Oda pretend shogunate, not the real shogunate, because they don't have the guns. So yeah, we've got a lot to do. We've also got some Harakayama forces that I just could not seem to sabotage despite my best efforts. I do have another army, albeit a little bit weaker one, moving up to support a little bit weaker, but a lot more guns. So, should be interesting. They're going to move up to help secure this region. We're going to need to sally out. I mean, the Oda are going to be taking casualties here too, but I don't want to suffer any casualties as a result of this siege, and I just want to go ahead and beat these guys back so I can get busy retaking what the Oda thought that they have taken from me. Let's see what they've got here. Yari Cav, Light Cav. There's actually a pretty significant cavalry threat. Their infantry is quite weak because they have gone heavy with firebomb throwers. They have some pretty darn good bows, though, much better than our own. And I don't believe we have stand and fight with this character, but we should still be able to cause some pretty severe damage to this army. Let's get it going. So yet another Oda wannabe shogun stands in my way. Go see if we can find him really quick. Yeah, here he is. Thinks he's some kind of shogun. I'm not even sure about this yellow and purple color scheme. I mean, I guess it's okay. So let's see what the Oda are up to. The front line here that they have is where their bow samurai, Bow Ashigaru, and I believe they have some bow warrior monks. They do. They are also there. And then they have some of their katana right behind the main line, as well as a few firebomb throwers. They're going to make a massive flanking move here with all their Yari Cav and Light Cav. And honestly, I'm going to probably forget about their cavalry for a moment because I'm engaged in the Warner maneuver here with my Tersos, attempting to get the most shots possible. So I'm giving my guys orders. See how it works out here. We got some pretty decent opening salvos. This unit got quite a few shots off before it had to retreat. I think it got 2 ranks of fire done, so they managed to get some decent charges. We're going to use our typical strategy, which is to hold the enemy on a Yari wall while countercharging them with my highly upgraded Katana Samurai. Their firebomb throwers could be a bit of an issue here if I can't get to them very quickly. And then their cavalry does manage to, again, catch me off guard, albeit for a brief moment. My Nagi Samurai interrupts some of it. My Yari cavalry quickly moves to intercept, and I'm going to fall back with my Donderbus cavalry where it's being attacked by a light cavalry. And I'm actually just going to throw my bow samurai into melee here. I'm honestly not very worried about it. I should have used my general here to help intercept, and I go ahead and do that. Now remember, I do not have stand and fight with this general. There's the firebomb throwers. They are shredding one of my Katana Samurai. You can see that even my missile units, which the AI sees as squishy, are really not. They're quite well armored and quite good in melee, and so they quickly and easily push back the Yari cavalry and light cavalry. Had it been Katana cavalry, that would have been a much more successful attack for the AI, but it was not Katana cavalry, and so it was not a very successful attack for the AI. I'm going to be pulling back my Katana Samurai at this point, and I'm going to allow my Tersos to come finish the fight that they started, since they didn't get the shots that they well and truly deserved early on in this. So they will be moving back forward, and the last bow units and regrouping infantry units for the Oda will be mowed down in a hail of matchlock fire, and if necessary, the Tersos have no problem going for their sword. They don't mind bringing a sword and a gun to a gunfight and using them as appropriate. See, like, look, see, we got one guy reloading there that slows down the entire front line. When it comes to volley fire, so as Yoda Ashigaru, or an Oda, not Yoda, a Yari Ashigaru, charging forward here. Again, no problem for my Tersos to just mop that one up. And then over here, again, Yari Ashigaru charging me. I'm really not concerned. I just give a counterattack, and that fight is over rather quickly. My shotgun cavalry is over here, mopping up some bow warrior monks. Should be some good chevronage for them to shoot up such an expensive unit. And you can see my own matchlock and bow units getting various volleys off against the near-dead enemies, and I would say now dead enemies. So the Oda, once again, removed from the battlefield in shame and in defeat. Well, it wasn't the prettiest victory I've ever delivered, but it's going to leave that Oda army reeling, and I didn't think that my Tersos had done all that well during the battle, and some didn't, but I mean, I still did manage to get over 100 kills with 3 of them, so I guess it wasn't all that bad. My Bow Samurai actually performed pretty well here, too. I wonder how many of those came in melee against the Cavalry that I mistook, but look at this Yari Ashigaru, too, cleaning up 129. Good grief. You guys were getting after it. Katana Samurai, Donderbus Cavalry. So yeah, a little bit more casualties than I would have hoped for, but we didn't lose anything. And the Oda were sent to their graves, utterly destroyed here, as there wasn't enough surviving. We got this aggressive Ardor. Why is that so hard for me to say right now? I don't know why. Hey, speaking of things that you all say, thanks for all the comments in the last episode. There was a bunch of them. And I'm going to start off kind of addressing a few. Rail says, Total War Shogun 2 is such a great game. I agree. Despite being 10 years old, and or over 10 years old, I should say at this point, it is really a fantastic game. And I have to admit, it is still a whole lot of fun to play. About the only mod that I feel like I have to have is the sinking ships mod here. And honestly, that's probably not a huge issue. I mean, it was enough to me that I wanted to go mod it, but I mean, it's definitely nothing that's game-breaking. Other issues with it? Yeah, I think agents are a little bit OP. The way that sea trade routes get raided and port blockades work and stuff like that, I think are pretty ridiculous and could definitely stand with some updating. But, all that said, again, for being such an old game, I feel like it's doing a pretty marvelous job overall. Kind of hard to argue. It has certainly seemed to stand the test of time quite well. What have we built here? This would be a good place for me to train some more units. I'm going to go ahead and build the Fletchers here, because I could set this province up to train more units once it's calmed down enough. Like being able to train key units here would be quite nice. I don't know, it doesn't have a port though, so I'm not sure it provides certain units to us, but I don't know, we'll see. A Fletcher is always a very useful building to have, as you can get ridiculous accuracy buffs out of it. If by ridiculous, I mean ridiculously wonderful, and that you should take full advantage of them, because they are wonderful. I'm going to just run a few upgrades here. Still doing quite nicely on our balance of food and income here. We probably do want to upgrade some more of our castles where it is possible. I wonder what I have and where. And just build a chapel back here. Not going to be a huge issue, but I think we're actually pretty good at the moment. I think I'm going to go ahead and end the turn, save a little cash, and spend it. I could go ahead and upgrade this sword school here. I don't know if we've really been using it, but I'll hang on to it. And it's the hunting lodge that improves replenishment and accuracy, so I am going to go ahead and put that there. It's in this turn. Replenishment's never a bad thing, and it's relatively close to the front. I don't know that we'll be doing any fighting there or not. Sanks says, what do the Otomo have in common with the Lizardmen? Both their campaigns got Croc Guard. I'm assuming he's referring to the fact that my Croc Guard campaign was probably pretty much annihilated. This is interesting. The Chosokabe, where did they even come from? I didn't even know they were still there, but apparently they've joined a war against me, so welcome. Welcome to the war. Good luck to you. Glad to have this campaign back here. It's great fun, but still depends on if that joke ever works. What will it be? Not sure, thanks, not sure. Let's see here. We are attacked by the Harakayama. They're going to attack my garrison, and my army is still replenishing. It's an odd attack for them to make. They do have a lot of samurai infantry, some of which is decent, but I don't really know what this attack does for them, or how it's good for them. I'll have to rush to the aid of my castle, but I don't believe that the enemy will be able to take it any faster than I'm able to reinforce it. So, should be interesting. I think the Harakayama are a little bit out of line on this one. Well, I'm going to have some trouble defending the castle. I'm going to give it my best shot. I don't have much of a garrison. I just have a couple of Yari and some samurai retainers, and then a single boashi. The AI deployed all around me, which is rather bad for me because it means no matter what direction my reinforcements come from, and they are coming from a very long ways away, all the way out. I'm not sure why this map is so, like, why is there so much map out here? I mean, the Warhammer Siege maps are maybe a bit small. This one is quite a bit too large. You only have 1 minute once the enemy takes the citadel in order to try and counter that, which is a ludicrously short amount of time, and they make you start from like 10 miles away, and I do have some cavalry. I'll try and work my way in here, but you know, again, no matter which route I take, I'm going to get blocked up by either bows or katanas, and if I ignore the bows, then my cavalry will get shot up by them, and they can't exactly defeat all these katanas, and if the katanas rush, they'll just simply bowl over my garrison. And so my infantry, I've already begun the process of running them to the castle, but it's unlikely that they'll even make it to the castle walls before I'm bowled over. We'll see. Again, I will do my best to do what I can here. These are both samurai, and I'm charging them uphill with only a Yari cavalry, which is going to get a face full of flaming arrows for its trouble. This is not an ideal engagement for me. My general is here as well, though I do need to be careful, as I do not wish him dead. But yeah, both samurai are not necessarily great in melee, but they can withstand a Yari cavalry charge. Then they actually don't do so bad in a prolonged melee. I did get my Donderbus cavalry up here. They should get a devastating opening salvo here, nearly wiping out the first bow samurai unit. And then I've got my second Donderbus cavalry coming up, so I have to quickly clear a path to the walls if I want to be successful. See, there are some Yari samurai coming, so my troops are soon to be overwhelmed. Those Yari samurai troops look like they're going to climb the castle walls, but then at the last second they decide, you know what, I'm going to come interrupt Heir's reinforcements. And for once, I have to say the AI, whether it did it intentionally or not, is probably making the right decision. Any delay is going to be absolutely devastating to me. I did place a couple of Yari Ashigaru in a spear wall formation. I put my bow samurai to delay the approach of the enemy from the main position here, and I'm sending my samurai retainers in. And I'm positioning as best I can to hold out for as long as possible. Hopefully maybe even defeat some of these Katana Samurai, but it will be difficult, as the AI will not likely suffer the same leadership penalties that the player does. It's not necessarily very likely that I'm going to be able to rout their troops and hold off long enough, but I do manage to kill a bunch of their spearmen. There's nothing that my cavalry can really do at the walls, because I can't get through the walls. So there's nothing I can do to come assist in this fight. Again, I'm just reliant on my troops, who have been running the entire battle and are still only about halfway to the walls, and don't appear to be on any type of track to get there on time. They're already completely exhausted from the run through the snow, so it is not looking great for me. At first, the defense is actually going pretty decent. My samurai retainers, combined with my spear wall, are holding out fairly well against overwhelming odds here, and the Nodachi samurai take a savage beating at first from my Yari, but then that's going to start turning around, and then these Kisho ninja come up. And this is not going to be great for me either. They're going to start whirling bombs up into my already very much fighting against the odds troops. And now they're just going to be dead. Speaking of dead, you can see one of their heads here where... Nice glitches there, CA. In any case, yeah, so they took the towers. Not a good situation for me. My troops are basically defeated. And I've cut even more inbound here, and like I said, my troops are almost utterly exhausted. They're nowhere near the walls, even though I'm running them as quickly as I can. Even my Yari troops, which presumably may be a little faster than my heavier samurai units, no one's gonna make it. So I just cannot reach castle walls in time, and this is unfortunate, but I've got no way to stop it. The AI is going to get up here. They're going to start capturing. And then as they get to capture, I'll be left with 1 minute to do something about it, which is clearly not enough time. And so the AI is going to snatch a victory here, despite having not actually defeated my army. But then again, they don't have to obtain victory here. So here it comes. AI is going to get themselves a sneaky victory. So for those of you sometimes hoping that I would lose a fight to make things more interesting, here you go, I've lost a fight. Unfortunately for the AI, though, this means that my army will still be mostly untouched and nearby, ready to fight them soon after this. Well, I don't really know how else I could have played that one because my reinforcements were like, I mean, my guys barely reached the wall by the time the enemy had effectuated a capture, so I really don't know what I'm supposed to do about that. Kind of irritating how quick the capture can happen. But, I mean, it's not really the end of the world, because we're going to be able to just take it right back. In fact, I think we got replenishment on that turn in. And that's going to leave the Harakayama wide open to just a quick counterattack here. And, ups and downs with this one's like, I mean, I could try and mass overwhelming firepower at one point on the walls. There's a lot of enemy ranged units in the walls too, but I mean, I should outmatch them from a melee standpoint. Be an ugly fight, but I am going to do this one because I want my settlement back, and I will show you all what happens. Alright, and my revenge is underway. I brought up my bow samurai on loose formation to draw the enemy bow fire while I move in my Portuguese terços. Any unit that is unfortunate enough to be stationed on the wall is going to have their heads placed at just the right height for my highly accurate terços to be delivering some devastating volleys. In fact, I will let you see some of that. The enemy matchlocks are going to get a few shots, but that's going to be about it. They're going to be mowed down in a hail of return fire. It is highly accurate, so we're going to see this matchlock unit get absolutely shredded. All the blood and guts flying there, so they did not last long in that fight, nor would I have expected them to. In fact, they are utterly destroyed. My terços are going to be very good if the AI is, like I said, dumb enough to position a unit at roughly head height in the walls. Meanwhile, I'm going to use my bow samurai. They're doing a very nice job of keeping units up here on the walls busy. The AI has now placed a Kisho ninja on the wall, and my strategy is going to be to basically take over this side of the castle, take the tower so it gives me some supporting fire, and then just push on up into the castle all from a single direction rather than splitting my forces. When my forces are combined, it does make me a little more prone to their missile fire, but it makes me much more affected whenever I'm able to bring up my general and do a stand and fight, which I intend to do in order to make my Katana Samurai significantly more powerful as they fight. You can see they've moved up a Bo Ashigaru garrison, and some of my terços do have an angle on these Kisho Ninja, which is good for me. Those are units I don't want to fight in melee, so I'm more than happy to take their heads off from range. And I will reposition my terços a bit over time. Had to avoid a couple of Kisho Ninja bombs here. And the bow fire has been a little bit bad, but mostly fairly safe here. And my terços are getting good return fire on the enemy. I'm going to burn down the gates to try and open a way for my Nagi Samurai, push through the gates of the Nagi Samurai, crawl up the walls with my Katana Samurai, see if we can just basically overwhelm the enemy. Taking a bit of bow fire here that I don't really like, but here comes the gate burnification process. Shouldn't take me too terribly long. Get a couple of volleys of torches in here. And the gates are now on fire. You can see the enemy amassing some defenders here. They've got some Yari Samurai. They have a Yari Cavalry, a couple of them actually, and then a General, and some Yari Sam back here as well. So we'll be up against some fairly stiff resistance. The Yari Sam, well, they have a Katana, or a Nodachi Samurai here as well. The Nodachi Samurai won't be great. They have good attack, but they have really poor defense, and they're really better on the charge. And the Yari Samurai have very nice defense, but won't have nearly enough offense to do well in this fight. See the AI trying to countercharge my first samurai unit that's climbing the walls, and my Nagi Sam have arrived on station, and then we get a bit of a YOLO charge here from the enemy Yari Cavalry, and it may just be a pathfinding issue where they're trying to get to my Katana Sam that they were actually charging. I'm going to bring the Nagi Sam up. Like I said, they should be very well equipped for this fight, whether it's against Yari Samurai or Yari Cavalry. They will absolutely slaughter either one. And you can see that the Harakayama are basically piling up over here. In the meantime, I do have good angles for my terços, and they have a lot of ammunition. I'm going to let them fire away and kill off Kisho Ninja and Bo Ashigaru. These will just be units that I don't have to fight later. See their fire by rank here, very effective. They can put down a lot of firepower very quickly, and the angles really aren't bad. You can see how quickly they can do it as well. Very quickly. They're getting volleys off very, very fast. So they are doing well in this battle. I've got my general up here, and to get into support range, probably should have already had him up here. A little bit late on this, because fighting without having the stand and fight in place was probably a bit foolish for me. But here it goes. I am going to get into stand and fight, which should significantly increase the stats of my units. This one Katana Samurai does get it. Like, they moved around the tower to continue climbing, which is a longer climb. Many of them will die while making the climb. And they're going to be overwhelmed because they're out of position. So a little bit of a screw up there that was kind of a pathfinding error. There wasn't much I could do about it at that point. I'll let you all see the stats here on my units. Absolutely disgusting. Look at that 25 melee attack on my Katana Samurai. And they're doing it all with 8 armor. And 8 defense as well, which is really solid. The Yari Samurai, though, they have very good defense here by nature. 10 defense. But they're not going to have enough offensive capability to stop me. So I will be able to basically just bash my way through here. Turn off the flags and stuff. You can see the enemy Yari Samurai trying to hold out at the burning gates. The game is very beautiful for being 10 years old. Textures are a bit dated and stuff like that, but otherwise really not that bad. So there's the enemy Yari Samurai trying to hold out, and then my own Katana Samurai pushing their way into this situation. Enemy Cavalry, enemy Spearmen. Like I said, this single Katana Samurai over here did get overwhelmed. And they will unfortunately rout, which stinks, but not the end of the world. We're taking some bow fire from the upper echelons of the fort. Not much I can do about that at the moment. My Tersos have cleared off basically anything that was standing in front of them. You can take a look at the body count here that my Tersos have been laying out. You can see a few more above the original gate too, so not bad work. All in a day's work for a Portuguese Tersos. Comes the enemy general, trying to defend, but it's not going to be overwhelmed. I've got a bunch of units moving in here, and I'm going to be able to capture their tower and finally get rid of this Nodachi unit that was pretty proud of themselves earlier, but will no longer be very much proud of their situation. There goes the enemy general's unit getting spread out and destroyed. As my Nagi Samurai come up the stairs too, they're going to lay waste to any cavalry that remains, but they can't get up the stairs. This is a pretty stellar performance on behalf of this Yari Samurai. They had a bottleneck. They didn't get a lot of kills, but it basically slowed my Nagi Samurai for a very long time, which ended up being pretty good for the AI, but not enough. So now my units are able to approach the inner walls of the castle. Now, note that the AI will now fight to the death, and they have some Katana Samurai up here, and some other Samurai, and Samurai fighting to the death can be pretty tough, so not to be underestimated. See over here, we've got more Katana Samurai. Take a look around. Some Ashigaru. Yeah, plenty of Ashigaru, some bow Ashigaru. So they have a lot up here in the garrison that I'm going to have to fight my way through, and I want to be fairly smart. So I'm going to throw my Yari Ash in first because they're going to be the freshest and the least beat up. So I'll use them to kind of soften up the enemy that's in the keep. And once we've softened the enemy, then I'll bring in my Samurai as reinforcements. I'm going to do kind of the same strategy, let my Nagi Samurai just punch through burned out gates. You can see we're going to get a very nice fire lit here. What's left of the general's Hatamoto is getting a little hot, so it's an appropriate name. Gatehouse is soon to be destroyed. The enemy has a whole bunch of troops up there too, and whenever the gatehouse gets destroyed, it means that they can die. Not sure what they're doing up here. All these troops. Looks like some of them now running through the gates down here. Yeah, so they have a bow Ashikaru that ran down through the gates. And skulls for the Skull Throne, apparently. It's not just a saying for Warhammer. Yeah, look, they just garrisoned Gatehouse while it's on fire with some matchlock. And having a matchlock unit here would actually be pretty smart, except for that, which is the Gatehouse explodes. And most of them are killed in short order. And now I'm scaling the walls. So my Yari Ashigaru are going to be up against some pretty overwhelming odds here, fighting a Katana Samurai to the death. Not exactly where they want to be in life, but my Nagi Samurai, fresh off their last Gatehouse victory, will soon be thrown into this Gatehouse to fight their way through, and they will do quite well. Nagi Samurai are well armored, quite defensive, and honestly they have pretty good offensive stats. Whenever I get them into this fight. So if you look here, I mean, we've got 22 melee attack, 12 defense, 12 armor. that's because my general is sitting here in the stand and fight, basically inspiring my troops fight to their fullest. So stand and fight is very useful. You should always use it. That's one of the first things I go for when upgrading my general. It is extraordinarily useful, especially in these situations where you would otherwise start to take some pretty egregious losses. I do have my tersos up here. I can't spread them out all the way, but they'll give me some supporting fire here where they get the opportunity, so you can see that they're looking for heads up there, as are my bow samurai. And every little bit helps here, right? Every one of these guys that we kill with missile units is one that I do not have to kill with a sword, meaning that they don't get a chance to kill me back, which is ideal. Here's one of my Nagi Sam as well. It's gotten over the walls here. It's fighting their Yari Ashigaru. And I've got some of my own Yari Ashigaru coming up in support. And the AI has really plowed all in to the gateway fight. But again, I've got Nagi Samurai here, and I believe they're also supported by Katana Samurai this time. They are. So there's both very good defensive and offensive capability in that fight. This is really the only fight that gives me some trouble. One of my Yari Ashigaru gets pretty trashed, but honestly did very, very reasonable. They've got 124 kills against nothing but samurai. So that is some impressive work on behalf of those Ashigaru. The stand and fight from their leader, clearly making a big impact. You can see here my OTOMO troops bloodied and tired, but seeing the objective near, are finally pushing their way in, and then I've finally got reinforcements coming for that Yari Ashigaru who fought so valiantly here. So more Yari Ashigaru. Yeah, they finally ran, but they did a pretty stellar job. Pretty stellar job indeed. Yeah, so here you go. My samurai are fighting their way up the walls, and then my Ashigaru mixed with the Nagi Sam over here are murdering the last few garrison Ashigaru who stood in their way, so you can see them going down. And now they will be able to join this fight at the ramp and the gateway. And the AI is definitely in trouble now. They most assuredly do not have what it takes to survive this fight. So my troops fought very valiantly here. Had to go through a melee with a lot of fairly capable troops in a defensive position that had a morale bonus from fighting in that defensive position. So I'm pretty proud what the boys was able to pull off here. So hope you all enjoyed this one. Let's get back to the campaign map. Alright, well, it was a pretty solid victory, except for the fact that I did manage to lose a Katana Samurai and a Yari Ashigaru. And I had lost a Yari Cavalry in the previous battle, so I'm down a few troops. But if you look, our army's been all about guns, but kind of shows you the power their army has in melee, especially when supported by the stand and fight. These Nagi Samurai absolutely butchered their enemies. 362 kills and only lost 52. Remember, they only deployed 97. And so I mean, just to give you an idea just how tough some of these units are. I'm going to retake our settlement, and I'm going to repair so that we can begin retraining. We are going to need to recuperate the troops that we lost. Unfortunately, they come all the way from back at Satsuma. At least the ones that well, actually, I think our Yari Cavalry comes from here. If I recruit, for instance, I'm going to need a Yari Cav here. And then I need a Yari Ash and a Katana Samurai. I'm going to need some ships to get them where they're going. And the only ship that can probably safely navigate all that is probably an Anban ship. Otherwise, like, I'm forced to march an extremely long ways. But I mean, ships would certainly be the fastest way for me to get units back to the front. I probably should have spent a little more effort in... I do have a Master Armorer here. Probably the fastest way for me to get what I want is to build the right stuff here and then recruit it. So I think I'm going to go ahead and recruit a Katana Samurai here, as well as our Yari Ashigaru, because they'll be similar to what I get out of my province in the back there. We're upgrading this. I could... The arts are mastered, convert, spread Christianity, +2 to replenishment rate. I like having the extra cash from this, but The rice exchange doesn't serve a whole lot of practical purpose here. The hospital is actually helping to convert, lets me recruit missionaries close to the front. Does a few good things for me, so I'm going to tear down the rice exchange and build a recruitment there so I can get my Yari Cav, and then I think I'm going to go ahead and just go back here and cancel this recruitment, since I can essentially get close to the same thing. I won't have the charge bonus buff that I had from that province. I had the Harakayama are blocking my crossing here, so I won't let that last. I'm going to get the black ship back into action here. It's 3 firebomb caballas, which are actually a danger to the black ship. I wonder, just out of curiosity, I may have to go fight this. I'm gonna quick save here, and then auto-resolve this battle and see how mean it is to me. We lost a bow caballa and we stole one. Otherwise, mostly fair. I'll take it. Just get their crap out of the way, and then I'm gonna go retrain or repair the fleet. Actually, we have a trade ship here that we don't need. Let's get rid of that. It's just wasting space. I don't really need this Sengoku Bune. Really? Alright, come on. There we go. Alright. Repair all these ships, and then we'll be ready. Our missionary can now complete the crossing. This is one of my better missionaries, so I do want his presence. Front. We've still got many turns of getting where we're going, but we will eventually get to where we are going. Wish I had a missionary free over here to go knock these towns out for the time being. We are currently... Go ahead and just start building a chapel here. And I may go ahead and start upgrading this castle settlement. We're in the process of repairing here. Let's build our hunting lodge. Good news is I didn't lose any of my high accuracy units. I unfortunately lose some of the benefits that I had with improved melee. I could build a hunting lodge here to effectuate that, but I would need to tear down either the criminal syndicate or the hospital. One of the two, but I will be alright without it. A small, very small amount shouldn't make a big difference in the long run. Let's go ahead and end this turn. See what the AI throws at us. I'll get some more comments here. Our deck says, those Dunderbuss cavalry in the final battle were devastating. Must have been using rock salt. That is their favorite shot type, actually, is rock salt. So good call out, our deck. Mr. SPQR84 says, this makes me want to play Shogun 2 again, such a classic. You should play it again. It's still quite fun. So you should definitely give it another shot, should you feel like it. Wow, they're doing all kinds of shenanigans there at Inaba with their agents, so curious to see what I've been cheated with there. Insane Weasel says, are you able to take the other 2 trade routes? Also, if you press space, it makes it go faster. Well, you'll notice I actually just pressed the space bar right there. Where needed opportunity to intercept. Aki. Bingo. This is further back on Honshu. It looks like the Harakayama have landed a small force there. We're going to decline this attack, and then they're going to attack us here anyway. Not much I can do here other than auto-resolve. We're going to lose. So I'll have to swing a force around. Incitement attempt. Metsuke increases in raise. Where'd we lose an agent? Army sabotage attempt. Army crushed. Agent convalesced. Alright, we got a lot going on here. So, am I able to take the other trade routes? Yes. Have I? I have not yet. But yes, we are able to take them. I'm going to go ahead and move up here and attack Aki before they get any further reinforcements. The Harakayama are clearly an irritation, and I might train an army to go ahead and just start taking their island, as they clearly cannot be trusted with it. The garrisons in this game are a little bit disappointing. Occasionally you get a pretty good one, but most of the time they're just disappointing. So, yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. It's kind of so-so. Yeah, so that was one of our missionaries that got killed here by this agent. Thought I had a tier 3 ninja, but apparently I don't, because it must have gotten killed. Subterfuge when assassinating, subterfuge when assassinating, so I'm gonna upgrade that ninja's assassination capability. See if we can get rid of this jerk. We got him. So revenge was swift and sweet. I'm gonna move this ninja over here to do some scouting at Mimasaka. Looks like that they have not left significant force there. That makes me wonder if that force is hidden in the fog of war just off screen. Do some scouting here. And here. Alright, so got missionaries moving up. That will be quite helpful. I've got ones that we just trained. This fleet is all set to go. Since I'm no longer guarding a trade fleet with some of these, I could probably take, like, for instance, I could leave this ship to kind of guard the waters over here. Because we very well could end up with an army landed behind us. I should probably start training a new army at Satsuma. And then combine it with one of my leaders back here. I think I'll do that, actually, because we need another army anyway to invade the Harakayama. So I'm going to go ahead and start grabbing the necessary tools for this army. Going to take many turns to recruit. Our agents convalesce here. I hate it when they convalesce all the way back here. I mean, at least we get them back, but it's almost kind of a worse punishment than them dying, to be honest. Let's go trap their navy. Oh, let's see, they've got another fleet here trying to land. So, yeah, we'll have to put some pressure on the Harakayama because they're getting kind of happy on their naval landings. And I'm not too happy about said naval landings. Gonna go ahead and recruit some Tersos here. Always good units to have. And this army. Do I come back for Mimasaka and leave Inaba open, or do... I'm gonna just take a peek at what's ahead of us here. Trying to kind of ease up and get eyes on the settlement. There's very little there. Kind of tempted to just push forward and roll over these clowns. Yeah, I kind of want to just bulldoze these guys. All they've got is a crappy... No, it's not a crappy garrison because they have an Onobushi, but it's not enough to stop what we have. See, no matter how good your garrison gets, you kind of just have to recruit units to hold each settlement. Which you can do. Obviously, something that I haven't done, but it's also difficult to know sometimes, not always, but sometimes to know how much you should recruit and where. I believe this general will get access to stand and fight. Not getting assassinated would be a bonus. We're going to enable stand and fight, and then give these melee upgrades, so that'll make our army significantly more deadly. As you all saw in that siege battle, my troops were able to battle their way kind of uphill, figuratively speaking, and quite literally, when they were climbing over walls. Alright, so looks like we have things back under control there. We'll retake Aki. They have some losses, and then we've got another army coming right up behind them. I'm training another army, so we'll put an end to the Harakayama's invasions, though. I'll start keeping an eye out for their ships trying to land over here, and we'll see if we can put an end to their little fun escapades. Yeah, I think we're just going to have to end another turn here. Let's do that. I'll get a few more comments from you all as we wait on this turn in to go through. Jason Kunkel says, thanks for the videos. Loved your Rome Remastered campaign. Looking forward to more. Seeing this really makes me mad that my computer died before this game came out. Hopefully I can get it one again soon. Probably in the minority considering CA is making another Warhammer game, but I prefer the historical titles. It probably is a minority, but that said, it doesn't mean it's not a large minority, and it may not be a minority. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But we'll see. Anyway, I'm glad you enjoy these ones. I'm happy making them. I myself am very much looking forward to Warhammer 3, but understand that not everybody has to feel the same. Alright, well, that was a pretty decisive naval victory as per standard. So, enemy will be decisively defeated. The army that landed is going to invade us at Hoki, it appears. No. Auto-resolve this. We'll understand it better at the end of the next turn. We'll know exactly what's happened, but we're getting a lot of pushback now, which, I don't know, it's kind of fun, honestly. Province lost at Hoki. Yeah, okay, yeah, so they did have a small army, apparently, in the Fog of War, and still do, hiding just perfectly in that Fog of War. Interesting. Because Hoki is right here. We still haven't spotted the army. I'm going to have to leave this army here for a turn to try and calm this place down. I'm going to go ahead and... Oh, they got a Nagi Dojo, Master Bo Dojo. I mean, if I tear these down, it can't be used to recruit against me, and I don't necessarily need them for recruiting at the moment. So I'm going to kind of wreck that province a little. And at Bizen, I need to build a stables. Alright, so we did end up with another army on the ground here. It looks like a fairly powerful one. Let's see what the auto-resolve does for me here, because I don't really like fighting these siege battles. They're honestly kind of lame. Alright, gave me a pretty solid victory there. They're a little bit annoying, the way the castle battles fight out. They're tedious, I should say. The rice exchange, which is what we had there in the first place. So, took our settlement back. So, this is soon to be a problem. I am lacking a few units, but don't really... Well, actually, I'm only lacking a Yari cavalry. There's really no reason why we couldn't succeed against the Harakayama here. I'm going to move back this way towards Bingo and try and make them hope that they really don't have to fight. I'm going to use the black ship here to kill off this fleet. It can't do any more damage to me. We lost a Bo Kabaya somehow. I find that unlikely. Not that I really want the heavy Bune, as it's pretty crappy, but I think I will keep it just for the moment, just to have enough ships in this fleet. And then we'll get after more Harakayama fleets. And let's see. So yeah, the Oda trying to push back on us here. It's really just a matter of my unpreparedness. I should have already had a third army up here. I've had the money to do so for a long time, but it's kind of just hoarding it, which is something I do. Probably too often in campaign. Does anybody else do that when you play campaign? Do you do some money hoarding just because you can? Times, because I do it a lot, and you all probably notice it whenever I go throughout the campaign. But yeah, build that dojo there, and then when I need to. All right, let's end one more turn and kind of just again see what we end up with. I could put some extra garrison here. No, actually, I could do that since I have the extra money. I could. It's a bit risky because we could just end up with a pain in the butt rebels that we have to fight. But a lot of good units here, and I can recruit them in one turn. So, like, I could put a couple of Katana Sam and a Boashi here as additional garrison all in one turn, and then this garrison would start to get pretty powerful because I've already got a couple of bows and an Onabushi heroine. So, I don't know, I might try that rather than tearing all that down. Like, see if we can hold it and kind of stop the AI from bringing more forces in from that direction. I could potentially do the same thing here. Train some additional Ashigaru just to make this garrison more difficult to defeat for enemy armies. Because sometimes you can pull off some pretty impressive victories, but you gotta have the right troops, and part of the reason why I've just given up there is that, yeah, so they were sitting perfectly in my blind spot, so I didn't see them earlier. I don't know whether that's crafty or if it's just kind of some AI cheatiness because it's something they're able to do. I don't know. I'll just go ahead and give them credit and say that it was crafty. Like, what is this, and how often do we need to do this? I mean, you're not going to win. Alright, I'm gonna have to fight this. I won't waste my time with these as per standard. Alright, so another big victory for us there. Have some ships we need to get rid of. Because we don't want to pay additional... Some people have asked, like, how come you haven't kept all these ships and use them against your enemy? Because it would eat up all of my extra income. The way they're doing these things. It would definitely just eat up absolutely all of it. The army is going to reach Bingo before we can. Which is irritating and unfortunate. I'm not sure what they'll be able to make of it. I think they took the province. Yep, they did. Sabotaged a sake den? How dare you, you devil? What kind of cruel person are you? People just want some sake. Alright, I'm going to take this army, and I'm going to go attack Hoki, and retake it, simply because I can. There's nothing they can do about it. I'll peacefully reoccupy Hoki. And I'm going to put a Christian chapel back in here. We repaired. I was working on the Fletcher here, but apparently we lost that in progress. Let's take a look at a couple of things. Alright, this fleet is redone. Let's go... Yep, already an Oda fleet in our way. Chase it out of the way. You're at peace with some of these factions. I didn't even know peace was a thing that could happen in this game. Let's go sail over here and take a peek at some Harakayama deployments and attack their trade route. Alright, so I don't see any more of the ships inbound. I'm unfortunately going to take winter attrition if I stay here. But we do have this army, I wouldn't say pinned. They could head north, but they can't get there all on one turn. I could cut them off if they try to go to Iwami. I'll wait a turn, replenish, and then we'll kind of pin these guys in and destroy them if possible. So, because they're not going to be able to take that army, and its garrison will be quite potent. Okay, yeah, see, this town has already calmed down with the addition of just a few additional troops. So if we look at the garrison here, not crazy powerful, but we would get 2 Ashigaru garrison, 2 retainers, and an Onabushi heroine garrison, as well as 2 bows. And then I've put 2 Katana Samurai and another bow. Honestly, just, you know, a little bit more bow, and probably unassailable for most enemy troops. In fact, the bow samurai would be rather good here. It'll cost me a decent bit of upkeep, but allow me to make the AI's progress significantly more difficult. I'll do the same thing here, just like make that garrison fairly strong. And we can maybe move that garrison forward as needed, or place it where we need to. Anyway, I think that's going to make a good episode for now. We've retaken most everything. We got to retake Bingo and Mimasaka, but we've certainly blunted any progress that the AI was making here. And with my other army on the way, another one training, you can see here we've already got new Tersos in place. Upgrade this Metsuke too, who is getting all kinds of pimped out. So yeah, we've got that Metsuke. Got a bunch of these guys back here who need upgraded. Probably just missed that. Overseeing armies, overseeing towns. There we go. And let's see, check on this army. So we should have some of our... Yep, we got some of our samurai. Now we're waiting on the others. Once we get our units in position, I'm going to need some cavalry for this army, no doubt. I'm going to go ahead and grab a couple of Yari Cav. And up here we got the Tersos. I can probably go ahead and start training a Donderbus cavalry. There we go. So I'll have a whole nother army similar to my other setups. We know that it's quite an effective setup, so that's why I'm sticking with it for now. We could use it to invade either the Chosokabe or Harakayama, either one. And basically keep them from giving us grief. We'll go after them. It was mentioned that maybe I should get these other trade posts. I think that's a pretty fair point. Training a trade ship fleet would be relatively easy, but I would need more Nanban ships, which are quite expensive. But something we can do. So anyway, hope you all enjoyed this one. Let's get one more comment here before I go. Francesco says, good to see some Shogun 2, such a beautiful game. Thank you, Francesco. And then, let me see, a couple others here. Just a couple others here. Fahad says we need a Shogun 3. I mean, I wouldn't disagree, though I doubt we're not getting it anytime soon. And at least this one was a really fantastic entry. Connor says, likes for the light gods, comment for the comment throne. Well, thank you, Connor. Definitely appreciate the support. Thank you to everybody. I will see you on the next episode.